will be on the federal exchange like millions of others on the federal exchange. It is one of the good things about Obamacare is that the statute provided that members of Congress would be on the exchanges without subsidies, just like millions of Americans, so there wouldn't be a double standard.
The Affordable Care Act does not force members of Congress to enroll. It simply cuts off the government contribution to their insurance plans if they buy their policy somewhere else. He's acting as if he has no choice. Now, Cruz's wife has taken an unpaid leave of absence from her position at Goldman Sachs to help her husband campaign. So their health coverage will come from the exchange or his job. If he's so against government involvement, why doesn't he go down the road of the private sector?
He's not saying he's definitely going to go with the Obama exchange. He's just saying he's looking at his options like a lot of Americans have to do.
No, he said in an interview he's going to go to the federal exchange. That's what he said in the interview when he realized that this was going to politically snowball on him. Now he's starting to look at other options, listening to his advisors. But in that interview, he said, we're going to the federal exchange, and it's the one good thing about Obamacare. How do the right-wing that's what he said. I didn't say it. He said it. So how do the right-wing talkers embrace this guy when he knows, hey, he could be a phony?
Well, I don't know if he's a phony. I think that there are a lot of laws that I don't like as a conservative, and you probably don't like as a liberal, that you have to follow anyway. So the idea is it's already established law. What would make him a bad guy by going with it if that was the only option for him? It's not, luckily. But if it were, it would make him a bad person or a hypocrite to take advantage of something. He may not be for it, but ultimately it's there.
That's pretty good spin, Heidi. I mean, he talks about principle. And if he's principled, he'll stay in the private sector, in the free market, and not rely on any government assistance or any kind of government policy at all. Ruth Conniff, is this politically going to hurt him? I mean, it might be an opening for Scott Walker here. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a guy who compared passage of the Affordable Care Act to appeasement of the Nazis. You can't back away from that by saying, yeah, but, you know, they do some good things. It was good for me. I mean, really what it exposes is that we have a lot of lousy options. Throwing people on the mercy of the private health care market is a terrible option. It's incredibly expensive. So people like Ted Cruz, even Ted Cruz, are thinking, yeah, this is a much better deal for me. And that's why he's pursuing it, because, as you pointed out, he is completely and totally able to buy health insurance for, you know, out of pocket $22,000 on average for a family. And maybe some right-wing backer will come along and just pay cash so the Cruzes can get that private health care. But it doesn't change the fact that it's unaffordable for most Americans, which is why we have the Affordable Care Act and why it's such an advance for so many people who now can get coverage.
Okay. And Heidi, there's no political injury here. That's your call?
I don't think so. And I think one of the things we're forgetting is that Obamacare, in some cases, for some people is cheaper, although I'm not hearing that from a lot of my listeners, and the deductibles are ridiculous. So it's not automatically saving people money. He's looking at all of his options, COBRA, private insurance someplace, and Obamacare, like he should, like everyone should.
And Mr. Potter, haven't the increase in rates gone down dramatically since the passing of this law?
Right. In fact, premiums have stabilized. And I want to make the point that the high deductible plan started a long time ago. In fact, they're advocated by Republicans more than Democrats, for sure. And they're not. There's a lot of plans on the exchanges do have high deductibles, but that was a trend started by the insurance industry when I was there. Predates Obamacare a long, many years.
All Republican members of Congress face this problem that they get Cadillac health care through the government, and then they go around criticizing health care provided by the government. And most Americans who take Medicare know, you get a much better deal. It's not expensive to the individual, obviously, but also it's not as expensive to the United States. I mean, we pay more for health care as a percentage of GDP than almost any other country, and we get worse outcomes. And we pay, 20%, as Wendell Potter knows, to private health insurance companies just in overhead, administrative costs. It's a bureaucratic system. It's based on profit. And 2% in Medicare, because it's much more efficient for the government. It would be much more efficient and would be better, Heidi, if the government provided a single payer system for everybody, cheaper, anyone could access it. Ted Cruz wouldn't be in this bind.
If he's principally...
$60 billion a year in Medicare fraud. Sure.
Say that again, Heidi?
I was going to say, all the Medicare fraud. Yeah, there's no waste there. None whatsoever. None.
Okay. If Ted Cruz is principally opposed to the government being involved in health care, he shouldn't have anything to do with it because there are other free market options out there. What a very hypocritical position. Wendell Potter, Heidi Harris, Ruth Conniff, great to have you with us.